Dear visitor, read your chart. This channel is designed to help you decipher your own chart's hidden meanings and live your life to the fullest. If you want to learn more about astrology and comprehend the hidden science in plain and straightforward words, please subscribe. In this video, we'll discuss the impact of the Sun on the Gemini Ascendant in various houses of your natal chart. A Gemini Ascendant indicates that the number 3 is stated in your first house, as seen. Let's talk about what your horoscope indicates if the Sun is in the first house of a Gemini Ascendant. It demonstrates that you have excellent communication skills. The more effectively you communicate, the higher your sense of pride and self-worth will be. Since the Sun is the planet of creativity, the person is particularly interested in pursuing creative endeavors. Activities that are creative are linked to communication. It demonstrates how important a part father played in influencing a native's personality and communication. The sibling relationship is more like an authoritarian one. Now, let's talk about what your chart indicates if the Sun is in a Gemini Ascendant's second house. It demonstrates that person's involvement in the arts was a source of income. Additionally, his father was the key supporter in starting his own business. Perhaps the native carried on the family company that the father had started. He gains influence through communication with his family and the outside world. Family environments are highly sentimental and nurturing. Now, let's talk about what your chart indicates if the Sun is in a Gemini Ascendant's third house. It demonstrates that person's exceptional creative abilities while also demonstrating his commanding communication style. Father's communication style is used. Their relationships with their siblings suffer when they try to be in charge of them. They are also very brave at the same time. They might work in any field involving creativity and communication. Now, let's talk about what your chart indicates if your Sun is in the fourth house with a Gemini Ascendant. First of all, as the Sun loses its directional power in the fourth house Digbala, it indicates the father's departure for a variety of reasons. This demonstrates how a local woman fills the role of the father. It indicates a career in the three karakas of government, politics, and health at the same time. Sun is the sign of healing activities, and someone who resides in the fourth house of private or certainly works in the medical field. Leo is the government's sign, and the fourth house is the home of the nation's people. Therefore, it opens the doors to a career in politics. Now, let's talk about what your chart indicates when the Sun is in the fifth house of a Gemini Ascendant. This person might not be overly engaged in schooling if the Sun or the fifth house do not receive any other favorable influences. He may be forced to leave school or college for a variety of reasons. But because the Sun is in Venus sign of creativity and the house of creativity, these people will pursue incredibly creative careers. One of their interests or talents will be used as a career. They might excel in any industry directly tied to wealth, such as stocks and gambling. It also demonstrates father's lack of guidance. Now let's talk about what your chart indicates when the Sun is in the sixth house of a Gemini Ascendant. It first demonstrates a relationship with father that is transformed. It implies that there is a healer involved, who might even be a surgeon, as Scorpio is the sign of surgeries. It is obvious that a career in medicine is possible as the planet of health enters the house of diseases. The health of the individual will also be improved as the Sun heats the building. He will therefore triumph over ailments, foes, etc. Now let's talk about what your chart indicates when the Sun is in the seventh house of a Gemini Ascendant. It implies that the native's father or sister will have a significant role in their marriage. Should observe that the fiery Sun is a fire sign as well. Therefore, there is a very good chance that neither sides or both sides' egos will prevent the relationship from working out. Native's father might be interfering with the relationship. Additionally, it can provide a spouse that is spiritual and academically minded. However, both parties must work on their egos. Let's talk about what your chart indicates if the sun is in the ninth house of a Gemini ascendant next. As the sun represents government, Capricorn represents government, and the eighth house denotes secret dealings. It is obvious that the person is employed by government secret agencies. These people might be working for the government as spies, and their fathers might be doing something similar. A person's relationship with their father may be distant or limited, and life will undoubtedly bring many ups and downs. Now let's talk about what your chart indicates when the sun is in the ninth house of a Gemini ascendant. The first sign is that the native's father, he, or both may be involved in any occupation that could involve lengthy trips. It demonstrates that someone is traveling to many locations to spread higher knowledge while working with a sizable religious organization like ISKCON. They have a strong preference for researching more advanced theological and philosophical ideas and using them for the benefit of everyone. Otherwise, as is usual, they may be employed by a large organization located far away. Now let's talk about what your chart indicates when the sun is in the 10th house of a Gemini ascendant. It demonstrates how a person deals with the government on a regular basis through communications. So, it might be a government employee or someone who clashes with the government. The symbol is the sun. The communication with this person will be primarily of a spiritual character. These folks could be RTI activists or like minded individuals who often approach the government with social issues. Father of native may be in a position of authority or in the government. Now let's talk about what your chart indicates when the sun is in the 11th house of a Gemini ascendant. It undoubtedly demonstrates who is in a position of authority in the business sector and major organizations. This person only wants to interact with power figures. It demonstrates the benefits of your father, who played a significant role in expanding your network. Extreme gains on cards from authorities. Now, let's talk about what your chart indicates when the sun is in the 12th house of a Gemini ascendant. It undoubtedly demonstrates someone's authority position in other countries or MNCs and how they acquire their fortune. It might even demonstrate someone obtaining employment with a foreign government. In actuality, I recently had a client who had this position and, in spite of being Indian, worked for the Australian government due to his eligibility. It can also turn someone into an ambassador or diplomat in other countries. Additionally, it demonstrates that your father is visiting other countries. I appreciate you watching this video and I hope you learned something new today.